Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. I've been trading cannabis stocks since 2010, the first stock I ever purchased. We're going to check in on the sector today after some strength, some nice closes, a lot of green out there. We'll see where we stand and what we're looking for bigger picture over the next couple of weeks. So where we stand now, fundamentally speaking, we're still keeping an eye out for some word from the DEA, and that can, again, it can come tomorrow, it can come in 4 months. We have no idea when it's coming, but what we do know is that price is going up in a nice uptrend. Keep in mind that the more we go up before an announcement, some of it's being priced in. I'm not saying a Schedule 3 decision is priced in at this point. I'm saying that this is part of it being priced in. Why? Because the probabilities increase the more we get news. For example, we get the HHS document redacted and now we can see it. And that increases the probability for some people that the DEA is going to choose Schedule 3 and go with that recommendation. So more and more people get in anticipation of that Schedule 3 decision. Again, I don't feel we're anywhere near priced in at this point, but I'm going to be trading that news differently if we're trading at $9 when that news hits, or if we're trading at $13 when that news hits after going up for 2 months in a row. It's very dependent on the price action leading up into the headline. Where we stand right now, we know it's all about 988, the HHS reaction top. Some individual names have already broken that top, and they're showing us relative strength. There's going to be a couple times in this video where I cut to a clip from an interview that I did either last week or this week, just with relevant information on the topic. And one of them is going to be about the truly relative strength that we're seeing now with the new narrative about the vote in November for recreational legalization. And that's going to be a big deal if we get that vote, keeping in mind we need 60% plus if that's going to pass. And the size of the population of Florida, as well as the tourism population, it would be a very significant catalyst. And Trulieve has the majority. I think they've got like 37% market share in the medical field, medical marijuana in Florida, and the next closest is like something like 13%. So they are the clear leader in that state, which is why they're getting the attention on the fact that DeSantis says that we should get a vote on recreational cannabis in November. So that's certainly something we've been watching. I've been watching for that headline for 4 years at this point. So hoping that we eventually get the real deal there. But for me, that's the next most important thing. Rescheduling and then Florida rec, even more than safe for me personally. So whenever we see, we don't want to get too overexcited. We could say the bulls are in control, right? We got a clear daily uptrend. We have a higher low and a higher high pattern. So here's your higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. You get the idea. A very clear uptrend. So the bulls are in control. But I do want to put on my bear glasses to ensure that I'm not missing anything. And one possible setup, if we're going to fail 988, if the bears are going to defend that level, then it has to be with this being a rising wedge. A rising wedge pattern shows bull exhaustion. So again, I'm not saying that this is a rising wedge. I'm saying that, I'm going to keep my eye on this to just ensure it doesn't take me by surprise. The simple statement is anything above 770 is a daily high or low, keeping the bulls in complete control. And even if we do pull back from here, just got to hold that 770 level. But if we were to start daily consolidation, if we're red tomorrow and then we shape up daily consolidation to end the week, that would tell us remain cautious of a rising wedge because it would be a bull break of 905 with zero follow through. But certainly looking long in this sector. And even just today, this was a 5-minute cup and handle on MSOS where we double topped and then bull flagged. And so I long there as an aggressive bull, and I put my stop under $8.93. I long at $9, sell after a couple percent move up, and that's the way that I trade around the core of my swing position when I see short-term setups that I like, the risk and reward of that setup. Just like I'll take bearish positions if I see a clear spot for shorting, but again, right now, I'm on the long side of things. So MSOS, if the bulls want to keep full control tomorrow, it's 874. That was an hourly support level midday today. And as far as resistance, again, 924, but 988 matters the most. That's all we care about right now. We're either going to break 988 or lose the daily high or low pattern. One of those two things is going to happen within the next 2 weeks. And if we were to lose the daily uptrend, we would zoom out to the weekly and we would look for a weekly high or low, as the bulls have a lot of space to form one. And of course, if we break 988, there is a lack of resistance until the $13, $14 range, which is why so many technical traders are definitely paying a lot more attention to the sector these days. You know, the dangling carrot for news is nice. That's what gets some buyers in. That's what gets longs to hold their positions for the news. It's what gets shorts to cover a bit more. But the technical setup definitely is intriguing for traders as well. So TCNNF relative strength. This chart is showing us that TCNNF is the strongest it's been comparative to MSOS in 7-8 months. And now I'm going to cut to a clip from an interview I did with the Dales Report talking about this chart and the importance of keeping an eye on it. TCNNF divided by MSOS, and this helps us determine relative strength or weakness. And for me, it'll be notable when Trulieve gets over cent mark, and once it does, we'll be able to say Trulieve is the strongest it's been compared to MSOS in the last 7 or 8 months, and that will be a notable shift that takes place. So I would suggest, yeah.
So is that part of your is that part of your analysis that you're actually comparing on a relative strength basis the underlyings to the ETF as they're trading as an indicator?
And that's something I picked up in the crypto world in 2017, 2018, where I was comparing altcoin to Bitcoin and just getting, you know, that comparative analysis down. And it's almost like an extra layer of in-depth looking under the hood.
So you're almost using MSOS as like to develop the Bitcoin dominance metric in the sector, but for cannabis.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I mean, we've had Green Thumb showing relative strength for years at this point, and we've had, Cresco showing relative weakness for years. And so that just helps us in terms of, if I want to look at an individual company, you could do your fundamental analysis. As you know, you should be aware of balance sheets and all that, but this is a key aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
So we can see Trulieve gets over 780 today, which was the HHS reaction high. So again, leading MSOS, we also cleared 784. So this is the highest level for Trulieve in about 13 months. Next resistance level I'm looking at, a little zone here at 949. But again, this is, you look at the weekly chart, and this is where things open up a bit. And that's exactly what the bulls want to see. First bullish cross of these weekly EMAs since we topped out from all-time highs, and the first ever monthly uptrend since all-time highs. And we went straight up that's a 900% move straight up with a higher low every single month. So we've never seen a higher low and a higher high on the monthly chart. And this is the first time that's ever happened. So definitely paying attention to that and watching to see, can MSOS join? MSOS is 5 trading days away from closing over EMA 12 resistance for the first time ever. So again, just getting confirmation of the signs that we're looking for from a technical analysis perspective of that longer term bottom being in. And so again, for individual names, the low of last Friday is the key support level. So Trulieve has a ton of space for a daily higher low to form compared to that level next time we consolidate. And we got Curaleaf. I just said Curaleaf maybe. I meant Trulieve. Curaleaf, key support is 446. So that's a must-hold level for the bulls to keep full control. CRLBF, bulls must hold 170. Again, not even close to the HHS high. It's very clearly showing us that this is the weakest of the MSOs that we're keeping an eye on. And, of course, Green Thumb. Actually, let's see. Is Green Thumb losing ground now on its relative strength because Trulieve is taking over? Not significantly, but that's worth keeping an eye on if that were to fall off. But anyways, Green Thumb, key level for the bulls to keep full control is 1196. Again, these are rising wedges, so I would love a green day tomorrow to try and negate these potential rising wedges. But again, that's just something we're going to keep an eye on so we're not blindsided if we see weekly consolidation. As far as the Canadian names, a lot of people arguing on social media about TLRY versus MSOS and blah, 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 blah. It's one thing to try and educate people, but don't waste your time. You can tell people, make a post and say, this is why I'm looking at these stronger names. That's fine. This is why I'm looking at these names to be laggards. That's fine. But just take it from me. from someone who used to try and convince people about technical analysis, who used to try and get people interested in the sector in 2014, that it's a waste of time because so many people just have their minds made up and you're not going to influence them whatsoever. It's very clear when someone has an open mind and is ready to accept information that you have to share versus not. But anyways, simple statement, TLRY divided by MSOS is showing us that we are right now in this moment tied with, we're right at the weakest we've been for Tilray compared to MSOS. The last time we were this weak was over 3 years ago, and we are testing all-time lows, meaning we're on the verge of it being the weakest it's ever been. So it's one thing to look for laggards, and that's a viable strategy, but I would suggest focusing on the stronger names. It is much easier to trade bullish with the lead bull names versus trying to play the weak names bullish. We look for the laggards when we might be getting there. When everybody is confident, okay, this is for real. This move is for real. Of course, after the news, we're going to be looking for laggards. But even this kind of price action without the news right now is enough to be getting to the point to be keeping an eye on the laggards. But if you want to keep it simple, Tilray, look, we just aren't doing anything on the daily chart. Make a simple statement. Tilray is doing nothing for the bulls if 209 is resistance. Right now it's in equilibrium. This is telling us that volatility is coming. We've got our lower high, higher low, lower high. This is a standard equilibrium. If the bulls can hold 189, we'll keep tightening up and we'll look for a break. What's today? Wednesday. Probably first thing next week. We'll look for a break of this tightening daily range. But again, the simple statement is the bulls are going nowhere if 209 cannot break. We got to break 209 and then 212 right behind it. So, rather than trying to position in a weaker name, I like to wait, break 209, then I'll trade it as a laggard. I don't need to get in right at the bottom. I'd much rather get in with momentum and be instantly green. Just at the end of the day today, I traded MSOS and TCNNF, and it was because we had momentum. I was instantly green on those positions. At no point during my trade of those names today was I red. And that's because I'm entering into momentum and I'm entering into strength. But obviously, my stop level's close nearby. I know what I'm doing. I've been trading a long time. I'm not suggesting that you all jump into overextended names, but that's one thing that I'll do. So I know that again, just make it as simple as possible. I have zero interest trading TLRY long as long as daily lower highs keep forming. CGC, same thing. CGC popped at the end of the day today. Yes, there is opportunity there, but look at the daily chart. Simple statement, if we do not break 506, nothing changes, and we remain in the downtrend that we've been in for a month, where every single green bounce results in a lower high. So simple statement, bulls must break 506 and 512 to prove anything to us, otherwise we remain weak. So let's see if they act as laggards. But I will only be buying on breaks when bulls prove to me that they are acting as laggards and that they are playing some catch up. We're going to end it here with Psychedelic, CMPS. I really like this setup. And on the daily chart right now, we've had a strong few days here. I would like to, I don't have a position. I want to reject from 1018 and form a daily higher low compared to 766 to give me an entry opportunity. But so far, the weekly chart is doing exactly what the bulls want to see. Here's a cut to a clip of a interview that I did maybe 3 weeks ago at this point. CMPS, I'm watching this downtrend resistance line, and it's just a visual guide. Clearly, we're struggling at this level, these levels, and we keep revisiting them, and we keep failing, and we just did so last week as well. And so what I'm looking for would be, in an ideal scenario, enough of a pullback here. And again, this is the weekly chart, so every candle represents one trading week of action. And, keep it simple. We want uptrends, right? We want higher lows and higher highs. We just want progress of that. And so what we need to see here is ideally brief consolidation and then break these levels. We can see there's a lot of rejections in the $10 to $11 range. We topped out at 10.12, 10.92, all the way up to 11.48. So what I do is I say, all right, that's a resistant zone. We are struggling to get through the zone from 10.12 to 11.48. And so when we finally get through that level, we could say this is something different for the first time in over a year, because it's been an entire year of struggling at this zone. So things may be shifting a little bit. There's a few things that I'm looking at. The red and blue line that I have here, these are just exponential moving averages. And I watch for them to cross sometimes. You know, we had a bear cross when we topped out on the big run in August of 2022, and it stayed bearish. And now we're trying to get a bull cross for the first time in almost a year and a half. And so again, that just stands out to me saying, okay, pay a little bit more attention because we may be putting in a bottom. So from here, the bulls need to get over this downtrending resistance line, which has been really stubborn for quite some time, and we might be getting over it now. But in terms of price level, break 1018, and that's what the bulls want to see. 1018 is the start of the clear shift of the longer term bottom, and it's also that inverse head and shoulders attempt. And so the simple statement is 766 is now a must hold. So again, when I'm trying to limit my risk, I'm not using $5 as a stop. I'm using a level that's way closer and way less risk, because if that level breaks, that invalidates my thesis and it invalidates the setup. If that level holds, we're going to eventually break bull. So keeping an eye on CMPS and the rest of the psychedelic sector. Potential catalyst in February if I don't know whether it's FDA or who, but MDMA is slated to potentially be approved. Again, just another catalyst, another headline to be keeping an eye out for. So overall, shout out to Dale's Report, which was one of those interviews, and Psychedelic Vantage. You can find them both on Twitter and YouTube. Otherwise, we'll keep checking in on the sector as things develop. Daily uptrend remains our clear guide. And again, as we talked about, bulls want to see shorter term oversold conditions mark longer term higher lows. That last daily consolidation, the hourly RSI got down to about 32, 31. And that's exactly what bulls want to see. We didn't even get to oversold. Bulls front ran it, but we got real close to hourly oversold. That marks the daily higher low, and we see continuation. And again, that's the back burner, Google Chart Guys back burner, if you're new to that strategy, because it is a great way to buy dips when you have a strong trending market. And that's how I've made the majority of my profit in cannabis and in crypto in the last 6 years. In Canadian cannabis, we would sell the gap up open on the morning, we'd buy 5-minute oversold conditions and reload, and then we'd see continuation on that run. So congrats to the bulls. Some relief. Don't get overly cocky. Don't get overly confident. Establish a game plan. Stick to it. And again, it could be months. So be patient. And let's see if we can get over the HHS reaction high and do good things.